Cheating Story Exposed, the channel dedicated to intense, real-life stories of betrayal, deception, and the truth that changes everything. Sometimes the smallest detail destroys an entire world. I found my wife's camping gear untouched in the garage. The same day she posted photos from her girls' trip in the mountains. Let me back up. My name is Connor, and I've been married to Adriana for 8 years. We met in college. One of those random encounters at a coffee shop where she spilled her latte on my laptop. She was mortified. I was annoyed. But she insisted on buying me a replacement drink, and somehow that turned into a 3-hour conversation about everything and nothing. Adriana was magnetic. She had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. When she laughed, it was genuine. When she listened, she actually heard you. I fell hard. And I thought she did too. We got married young. 24 and 23. Everyone said we were rushing it, but we didn't care. We were building something, a life, a future. We bought a house in the suburbs, adopted a dog named Copper, and settled into a routine that felt comfortable, safe. She worked as a marketing coordinator for a tech startup. I was an accountant at a mid-sized firm. Normal jobs, normal life. The kind of life where you grocery shop on Sundays and argue about whose turn it is to take out the trash. About 6 months ago, Adriana started talking about wanting more adventure in her life. She'd scroll through Instagram looking at travel influencers hiking through national parks, and she'd sigh. This wistful, distant sigh. I feel like we never do anything spontaneous anymore, she said one night. I suggested we plan a trip. Maybe Yellowstone, maybe the Smokies. That's the problem, she said. Everything with us is planned. I want something that just happens. I didn't understand what she meant then. I do now. She started going to a climbing gym 3 times a week. She bought hiking boots, expensive ones, a technical backpack, a sleeping bag rated for below-freezing temperatures. She joined online forums about backcountry camping and wilderness survival. I thought it was just a phase, a midlife crisis at 31. I encouraged it, told her I was proud of her for trying something new. She started taking weekend trips, small ones at first, a Saturday hike with her coworker Bree, a Sunday morning trail run with her friend Vanessa. She'd come home exhausted but glowing, telling me about the views, the fresh air, how alive it made her feel. I was happy for her. I really was. Then she mentioned the big trip. A bunch of us from the climbing gym are going to do a 3-day backcountry camping trip in the Adirondacks, she said one evening in late September. It's a girls-only thing. Bree, Vanessa, and 2 other women I've got to know. We're renting a cabin as a base camp and doing day hikes from there. I didn't hesitate. That sounds amazing. You should absolutely go. She kissed me, told me I was the best husband in the world. The trip was scheduled for the first weekend in October. She spent the week before packing and repacking her gear, checking weather forecasts, making lists. She was excited. More excited than I'd seen her in years. Friday morning, she left at 6 a.m. I was barely awake when she kissed me goodbye. I mumbled something about being safe and having fun, then rolled over and went back to sleep. Throughout the weekend, she texted me photos, sunrise over a mountain ridge, a campfire with shadowy figures around it, a selfie of her in a beanie and fleece jacket, grinning, mountains in the background. Missing you, but this is incredible, she wrote. You look happy, I replied. Enjoy it. Sunday afternoon, she texted that they were packing up and starting the drive home. She'd be back by evening. I decided to surprise her. I'd make her favorite dinner, chicken piccata, with roasted asparagus, and open a nice bottle of wine. Welcome her home properly. I went to the garage to grab the good cutting board we kept on a shelf out there. That's when I saw it, her camping gear, all of it. The technical backpack was hanging on its hook, tags still attached. The sleeping bag was in its stuffed sack on the shelf, completely compressed, clearly never used. The hiking boots, the expensive ones she'd bought specifically for this trip, were sitting in their box, tissue paper still inside, not a speck of dirt on the soles. I stood there for a long time, just staring. My brain tried to rationalize it. Maybe she'd bought backup gear. Maybe she'd borrowed equipment from someone else. Maybe there was a perfectly logical explanation, but I knew, somewhere deep in my gut, I knew. I pulled out my phone and looked at the photos she'd sent. The sunrise over the mountain ridge. I reverse image searched it. Stock photo. Posted on a travel blog 3 years ago, the campfire photo. Too dark to reverse search effectively, but now that I was looking closely, the silhouettes around the fire didn't look like 5 women. They looked like 2 people. 2, the selfie of her in the beanie. I zoomed in on the background. The mountains looked wrong, too smooth. I searched mountain backdrop and found similar images, the kind you'd use for forced perspective photos, the kind you'd take in a park with hills, not actual mountains. My hands were shaking. I went inside and opened her laptop. We'd always had each other's passwords. It was a trust thing, or it had been her email was open. I scrolled through her sent folder, nothing unusual, work emails, shopping confirmations, newsletter subscriptions. Then I checked her trash folder. There was a deleted email chain between her and someone named L. Harrison. The subject line was blank, but when I opened it, my stomach dropped. Can't wait for this weekend. I've been counting down the days, me too. It's been torture pretending I'm not thinking about you every second. I told Connor it's a girls' camping trip. He believed it immediately. God, I feel terrible. Don't feel terrible, feel alive. Isn't that what you said you wanted? The messages went back months. May, June, July, August, September, months. I scrolled through them all. I made myself read every single word. They'd met at her climbing gym. L. Harrison, Lucas Harrison, was an instructor there. He was 36, divorced, finally free to live authentically, as he put it in one particularly nauseating message. They'd started as friends, training partners. Then one night after a climbing session, they'd gotten drinks. Then more drinks. Then everything else. The messages were detailed, too detailed. I won't repeat what I read, but it was clear this wasn't a one-time mistake. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was intentional, ongoing, and enthusiastic. They'd been meeting up once or twice a week for months. Sometimes at his apartment. Sometimes at hotels. Once in our guest bedroom while I was away on a business trip, in our house, in our bed. Or close enough, I closed the laptop. I sat on the couch. I stared at the wall. Copper came over and put his head on my knee. I scratched behind his ears automatically, not really present. I could have confronted her the moment she walked through the door. I could have screamed, thrown her things out, demanded answers. That's what you see in movies. The big explosion, the dramatic confrontation, but I didn't feel dramatic. I felt cold, analytical, like I was solving a problem at work. She'd lied to me for months. She'd crafted an elaborate cover story. She'd manipulated my trust, my support, my encouragement. She turned my pride and her adventurous spirit into a weapon against me, and I thought, if she wanted adventure so badly, maybe I should give her exactly what she asked for. Adriana came home around 7 p.m. just as the sun was setting. She walked in looking perfectly put together, not a hair out of place. No dirt under her fingernails, no sunburn on her nose, nothing that suggested she'd spent 3 days hiking in the wilderness. Hey, babe, she said, dropping her purse on the counter. I'm exhausted. What an incredible weekend. I was setting the table. Yeah, tell me about it. She launched into a detailed story. The cabin was rustic but charming. The hikes were challenging but rewarding. Bree had gotten a blister on day 2. Vanessa had seen a black bear from a safe distance. They'd stayed up late around the campfire talking about life and dreams and the future. It was a good story, detailed, convincing. She'd clearly planned it out. I nodded along, asked follow-up questions, played the supportive husband. I'm glad you had such a great time, I said. You deserve it. She smiled, kissed my cheek. You're the best. I'm going to take a quick shower before dinner. While she was upstairs, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her yet. I wasn't going to tell her I knew, not yet. I was going to let her keep lying. I was going to let her dig the hole deeper, and then I was going to give her exactly what she'd claimed to want. Over the next 2 weeks, I planned meticulously. I contacted a divorce attorney, a good one recommended by a colleague. I gathered evidence, screenshots of the emails, phone records showing calls to Lucas Harrison's number, credit card statements showing hotel charges on nights she'd claimed to be working late. I opened a separate bank account and quietly moved half of our savings into it. I changed the passwords on our joint accounts. I made copies of all our important documents. I also did something else. I researched backcountry camping regulations in the Adirondacks. I found a remote trailhead about 4 hours north, one that led to a dispersed camping area deep in the wilderness, no cell service, no nearby roads, just forest and mountains in isolation. Then I bought Adriana a present. I came home one evening with a wrapped box and a big smile. What's this? She asked, laughing. I felt bad that I wasn't more supportive of your camping trip, I said. So I booked us a surprise, you and me next weekend, a real backcountry adventure, no cabin, no base camp, just us, the wilderness and the stars. Her smile faltered for just a second. Oh, wow. That's so sweet, Connor, but I already took the days off work, I said. And I rented all the gear we'll need. I even downloaded offline maps. Come on, Adriana, you said you wanted spontaneity. You said you wanted adventure. Let's do this together. She couldn't say no, not without revealing her entire lie, not without admitting that the camping enthusiast persona was just a cover story. Okay, she said slowly. Okay, that sounds great. I could see the panic in her eyes, but she smiled. She played along. The week leading up to the trip, she tried to back out 3 times. She claimed she was getting sick. She said work was too busy. She mentioned that maybe we should do something less intense for our first trip together. I shut down every excuse. You've been training for months. You're in better shape than me. This is going to be perfect. She texted Lucas constantly. I knew because I'd installed monitoring software on her phone. She was frantic. Connor wants to go camping. Actual camping. I don't know what to do. What if he knows? He doesn't know, Lucas texted back. Just go, pretend you're into it. You can fake it for 1 weekend. Fake it, like she'd been faking everything else. Friday morning arrived. I'd packed everything we'd need. Real camping gear, all functional, food, water filtration, first aid kit. I'd even packed her unused boots and backpack from the garage. We loaded up the car. Adriana was quiet during the drive. Nervous, she kept checking her phone until the signal finally disappeared about an hour into the mountains. No service out here, I said cheerfully. Isn't it great? Real disconnection. She forced a smile. Yeah, great. We reached the trailhead around noon. The parking area was empty. The trail was marked, but barely, just a faded wooden sign and a narrow path disappearing into the trees. How far is the campsite? She asked. About 6 miles in, I said. We'll get there by late afternoon if we keep a good pace. Her face went pale. 6 miles? You've been training, I reminded her. This should be easy for you. We started hiking. Within the first mile, it was obvious Adriana had never actually done this before. She didn't know how to adjust her pack straps. She walked flat-footed instead of using proper hiking technique. She complained about every uphill section. I didn't help. I just kept walking. By mile 3, she was struggling. Can we take a break? We need to reach camp before dark, I said. Come on, you've got this. By mile 5, she was nearly in tears. Her feet were blistered. Her shoulders were red from the pack straps. She'd drunk most of her water and was dehydrated. Connor, please, she said. I can't. I need to stop. I stopped, turned around, looked at her. You wanted this, I said quietly. You wanted adventure. You wanted spontaneity. You wanted to feel alive. Something in my tone must have registered because her eyes widened. Connor, when were you going to tell me? I asked. About Lucas Harrison, about the climbing gym, about the fact that you've been lying to me for 6 months. All the color drained from her face. I found the emails, I said. I saw the fake photos. I know where you really were that weekend and all the other weekends. She started to cry, real tears this time. Connor, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. You didn't mean for it to happen, I repeated. You just accidentally deleted your emails. You just accidentally created an elaborate lie. You just accidentally disrespected our marriage over and over and over again. Please, she said. Can we just go home? We can talk about this. We can fix this. I shook my head. We're not going home. You wanted a camping trip. We're finishing the camping trip. Connor, I can't. You can, I said. You told me you were a backcountry camping expert, so let's see it. I turned and kept walking. After a moment, I heard her stumbling along behind me. We reached the campsite just as the sun was setting. It was a small clearing next to a stream, surrounded by dense forest. Beautiful and utterly isolated, I set up the tent, built a fire, filtered water from the stream. I did everything efficiently, methodically, while Adriana sat on a log and cried. I'll drive us back in the morning, I said finally. But tonight we're staying here. Tonight you're going to experience the adventure you claim to love so much. I hate this, she sobbed. I hate camping, I hate hiking, I never wanted any of this. I know, I said. That's the point. We sat in silence as the fire crackled. The forest around us was alive with night sounds. Owls rustling leaves, distant animal calls. Adriana was terrified. She jumped at every noise. I felt nothing, just that same cold, analytical detachment. Why? I asked eventually. Why him? Why lie? If you were unhappy, why didn't you just tell me? She was quiet for a long time then. I don't know, I felt invisible, like we were just going through the motions, and Lucas made me feel seen. He made me feel exciting again. So you destroyed our marriage because you were bored. No, yes, I don't know. She wiped her eyes. I'm sorry, Connor. I'm so sorry. Sorry you did it, or sorry you got caught. She didn't answer. That was answer enough. We barely slept that night. Adriana was too scared of the dark. The sounds, the isolation. I lay in my sleeping bag staring at the tent ceiling, wondering who the person next to me even was. When had she become someone I didn't recognize? At dawn, we packed up in silence. The hike back out took longer because Adriana could barely walk. Her blisters had worsened overnight. Every step was agony for her. I didn't slow down. I didn't help. I just kept the pace steady and let her struggle. When we finally reached the car, she collapsed into the passenger seat like she'd just finished a marathon. I drove us home. Didn't say a word the entire 4 hours. When we pulled into our driveway, I finally spoke. I've filed for divorce. The papers are inside. You have 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live. I've already spoken to an attorney and documented everything. The affair, the lies, all of it. She stared at me. Connor, you wanted to feel alive, I said. You wanted adventure. I gave you exactly what you asked for, and now you get to live with the consequences. I got out of the car, walked inside, and closed the door behind me. She sat in the driveway for 20 minutes before finally getting out and coming inside. She went straight to the guest room. She didn't come out for the rest of the day. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. It wasn't contested. Adriana didn't fight it. She'd moved in with Lucas Harrison about a week after our camping trip, which told me everything I needed to know about whether she was actually remorseful. I heard through mutual friends that the relationship with Lucas fell apart within 2 months. Turns out when your relationship is built on deception and excitement, it doesn't hold up under the mundane reality of actually being together. Adriana reached out once. A long, rambling text message about how she'd made mistakes, how she still cared about me, how maybe we could try again someday. I blocked her number. People ask me if I regret it. The camping trip, the way handled it, they say I was cruel, manipulative, that I should have just confronted her directly instead of orchestrating some revenge scenario. Maybe they're right. But here's what I know. Adriana spent months lying to me. She built an entire false identity to justify her betrayal. She used my trust and my support as tools to facilitate her affair. I gave her 1 weekend of discomfort. 1 weekend where she had to face the reality of the lies she'd told. 1 weekend where the fantasy she'd built came crashing down around her. Was it revenge? Maybe. Was it fair? I think so, because here's the thing about betrayal. It's not just the act itself, it's the disrespect. It's the calculation. It's the moment-by-moment decision to keep lying, keep manipulating, keep destroying something that was supposed to matter. Adriana didn't just cheat. She erased me. She turned our marriage into a joke, our life together into a cover story for something more exciting. So yes, I took her camping, real camping. The kind she'd pretended to love, and I left our marriage out there in those woods where it had already died months before. I'm doing better now. I've moved on, started dating someone new. Someone who values honesty. Someone who doesn't need to build elaborate lies to feel alive. Copper's doing great. He's curled up on the couch next to me right now, completely unbothered by the drama that used to define my life and Adriana. I don't know. I don't care. She's not my problem anymore. Some people say what I did was wrong, that I should have taken the high road. That revenge never solves anything, but I didn't want revenge. I just wanted her to experience the truth about who she really was, the truth about what she'd actually chosen, and sometimes the truth is the coldest place you can take someone. That's my story. The weekend my marriage ended in a forest 6 miles from nowhere. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. If you've experienced betrayal like this, I hope you know you're not alone. And if you're thinking about lying to someone who trusts you, remember that the truth has a way of finding you, no matter how far you try to run from it. This is Cheating Story Exposed. Subscribe for more real stories of betrayal, truth, and the aftermath. And remember, trust isn't just broken in a moment. It's destroyed in 1,000 small decisions to look away from the truth. Sometimes the wilderness isn't in the mountains. Sometimes it's in the person sleeping next to you.